Okay, boys, we're back. We're back.
We must preserve
Doing a
this
Jibber
world.
Jabber episode here. We'll just talk about holy shit, that interface volume. What the hell? They wanna try to agitate us, make us deaf? Fix that shit. So look at this. It's at the bottom. Guys, why is it so loud? This button doesn't do anything anymore. What the hell? So, we're gonna be talking about the set of the Beastmen, boys.
I fight for the greater good.
Beastmen was pretty much the first DLC back in Warhammer 1. They got released with the Kazakh and Malagor, and they added Morg later. They haven't really patched anything about the Beastmen campaign related pretty much since. Like, they added the Wood Elves to the game. The Beastmen start with Wood Elves, but you don't even have to do anything with the Wood Elves. You can just ignore them. They're not part of your victory condition, and there is nothing special to the Wood Elves. And if you fight the Wood Elves with the Beastmen, you're actually gonna get wrecked, because the Wood Elves are absolute nightmare for the Beastmen. They're just total counter to the Beastmen. So, the first problem with the Beastmen, I think, is all three lords are part of their faction. So, they're just all Beastmen, all three factions. So, they've not really been reworked at all. Even they just added more into them. So, like for example, the dwarves have now Karak. They still have two lords, but we hope the Gromdal will be eventually moved. You have Clan Angrund, you have Karakadrin. Here you have Beastmen. So what's different with these lords? One starts in Estalia, one starts in what used to be Blightwater. Now it's a different province, which you don't even see on the map updated. This is a different province now. It's also a very bad province, but the Beastmen have the Beast Pets, so they could easily move through them. And one starts in the Nordland. So what about their legendary lords? Kazark, pretty much a powerful fighter, has pretty impressive stats on the foot. On chariot, it's kind of almost can get reach godlike melee expert levels. Especially if you get like full buffs, various lords traits. You can see massive stats. These are a bunch of Bigans and Orcs slaughtered by his chariot. This is, by the way, without the Sword of Cain. We have Kazark also with more examples as well. This is with Sword of Cain, absolute monster of a fighter. Even though the Sword of Cain is a really crazy damage dealer, he's a pretty strong lord. So this is one of the aspects of the Kazakh. One of the things that it's fun to play, because you can make him very strong. So this is pretty much Kazrakh's thing. He's just a strong fighter, and you want to tell the world, kill other lords, defeat other lords, get traits, make him very strong. So this is his thing. Regarding his faction effects, nothing really special. Faction effect is plus 10 leash when fighting against men. I guess, not bad, not great, not terrible. 40% more income from raiding, actual 40%, not 5% or 10%. You're gonna finish that objective faster. It gives plus 10 charge bonus with Bestigor herds, which is a solid bonus. The Bestigors are one of the fastest heavy infantry in the game, and they do benefit from the charge bonus. There's one decent Beastman units. For his lord effects, he makes the Bestigor cheaper 30% to upkeep, recruit, gives them ranks, and he can recruit them faster. So it's basically Bestigor flavor. Other than that, just pretty basic. You get a strong fighter lord that starts in Estalia. So this is one of the Beastmen things. They start in 3 different parts of the old world. Malagor, which starts pretty much next to Blightwater. It's pretty much still Blightwater since they didn't update the map. He has some really powerful faction effects. Campaign movement range plus 10%. Beastmen have the worst movement range in the game. So this alone makes Malagor just obvious choice to start with as your Southern Lord. It gives you more capacity for the Brave Shamans. Unlocking new heroes for the Beastmen is hard. They need tier 5 buildings to get more capacity. So you get additional 2 heroes with Malagor. 2 heroes that could be with powerful traits, Cunnings, Stake the Ambush Chance, the ones that lower the leadership in the region, which just push the Malagor flavor, or stacking Minotaur weapon strength, so really good stuff. 4 growth plus 2 all armies, holy shit, just look at this. One of these alone could be a strong faction effect compared to what the other lords have, but he gets not 2 but 3. 3 really good bonuses, and he even gets some mumbo jumbo here, plus 30 diplomatic relations with the other Beastmen warherds. Is quite an interesting lord effect, minus 8 leadership for the local enemy armies, which is at first sure, it's okay. When it works, it works. It's gonna almost remove their legendary leadership bonus. But he has additional skill, which puts it with another 9. And then it has executioner, which puts another negative 2. And the hero can have traits which each lower by minus 5, which is stackable, which has totally unique flavor with his army for massive leadership penalties. The undead could do this, and Lizardmen could do this, but they are not as effective as Malagor. So you have Kazark with a unique, fun fighter that you just wanna, stack those bonuses, make him, as strong as possible. And then Malagor has this totally different thing, powerful faction effects, which makes a natural choice. You can easily unlock Kazark, and he has a totally different setup playstyle than Kazark. With the Kazark, you might want to just go, make him almost a one goat army, while with the Malagor, everybody's just gonna be afraid of you. You can totally stack negative leadership effects and take over half the enemy leadership away from the enemy, even just route weaker armies on contact. So pretty good lords, bordering good. The Malagor is just better by far because of the faction effects. When you're picking a lord that are basically the same faction, like here with the Beastmen, you're gonna go with the one with the best faction effects. Traveling the map could give you a different early game for like 20-30 turns, but it's gonna come to the same. Then you're gonna regret 2 extra heroes, which have powerful traits, 10% more movement range, faster horde growth. You're just gonna pick the one with the better faction effect. That's why the Beastmen should be separated in their own factions. Malagor should be leading his faction, Kazar should be leading his faction, and Morg should be leading his faction. So 3 different factions. I mean, it's an overpriced DLC, and very, very little to work with. Very little. Even the Wood Elves, for example, Orion and Arglon, they're separate factions. It's another overpriced DLC, but they actually had the separated factions here. Even if it's not like a big deal because they're in the same forest at the start. I really think there should be separate faction. This as well could make the Beastmen have more presence on the map. So when the Beastmen respawn, you're not gonna deal with the 3 of them. You're gonna be dealing with different Beastmen faction. Kazark from Estalia, Bertonia, Empire Way, Morgur also in a similar area, maybe around the any of the starting Wood Elf areas, and Morgur, and Malagor, wherever, around the Greenskins area. But they all 3, have the same goal to destroy the civilization of men. So they could lead their own factions. So you would not just always pick Malagor like old Empire, where you always pick Guild because it has the most powerful bonuses, similar to this really. So this is one thing that will probably be changed when they rework the Beastmen. I don't think they're gonna be touching the Beastmen before the Warhammer 3 though. They're probably in the worst shape of any faction right now, since they improved the Greenskins. This is the worst Beastman Lord. He literally has nothing. No cool fighter as Khazrak. Not even close as powerful. Not any cool flavor, powerful faction effects, enemy leadership, negative leadership stacking. He has nothing. Just garbage. Nothing. He used to have an ability that would make him almost unkillable, but it was taken away. This lord got butchered, I think, 2 or 3 times because of the multiplayer. Faction effects, pretty boring, supporting a very weak unit flavor. It doesn't even have proper bonuses for them. You have to pick between different bonuses. And the issue with this, he's supporting Chaos Corruption, and kinda like, you know, you can't get rid of him. And it's not represented well. The Chaos Corruption is probably the most pathetic thing in the game. It is so weak. The most powerful force in the Warhammer universe, the Chaos Corruption, it's absolute pathetic. Like, the worst thing in the game right now, Chaos Corruption. What can be done about the Chaos Corruption? Well, for starters, you know, it could affect the climate. It could affect the Chaos units in a better way, give them more buffs. It could affect the enemy in a way lower their leadership. They could actually remove the bonuses from the AI to not take any attrition of the Chaos Corruption. It's poses 0 threat to the Chaos Corruption. It could be closer to Vampiric Corruption. It could, when the cities are surrounded by the Chaos Ruins, change the climate of the region into the Chaotic Wasteland. Via events, it could be a huge benefit to the Chaos Forces, or could even have negative effects on the Chaos Forces. You know, it's Chaos after all. Right now, the Chaos Corruption is a joke, pathetic, and this Lord, not only his faction effects, Lord effects are absolute garbage tier, but he doesn't have anything really, anything. Not a cool guy like Khazrak or powerful effects as Malagor. Malagor is also a wizard with a strong lore. This guy was absolute beast when he got released. Even the plebs were having fun playing this. Now, you know, if you know what builds to build, what buttons to click, he's almost like a miracle worker. Malagor is pretty much a miracle worker. He's been carrying the Beastmen in this sorry state where they are, you know, ever since the release. Even after the Evolve nerf, he's still carrying Beastmen, Malagor. You're gonna unlock Khazrak and Morgor anyway, so why start with those two? Of course, it's a different location, so starting with Khazrak is a handicap. Starting with Morgor, it's like pain in the ass handicap level. So if you want to play a challenge, really, with a really bad start. So what can be done with the Morgor? Well, the major thing here would be to rework the whole Chaos Corruption, which is coming. If we even get half what I said, will be good. But regarding Morgor as a lord and Morgor as a flavor, so the way I see Morgor, knowing pieces of lore, playing, you know, the Wood Elf mini campaign and reading something about him, so Morgor feel like his campaign as a separate faction should be oriented around the Wood Elves, you know, 2027 when they do the rework. But what should be a Morgor special thing regarding him as a lord and his units? So Morgor should pretty much be in the campaign. He should have a lord effect which makes him pretty much unkillable. He should not be taking any damage. He should not even be able to get killed on battlefield as long as the other units are alive. So this should be one of the more things. He absolutely does no damage. He's a pain in the ass to kill. And the tactic is, you know, just ignore Morgor, target his army, because you can't really kill him. He just, you know, it's his thing. Even if somehow you defeat him and get rid of him, you know, from the battle, he comes back next turn. If the Beastman is still alive, he's gonna be bothering like that. That's Morgor. Pretty much that should show what he should be. He should, he really doesn't do any good damage. He's very good at tanking, very good at wasting the enemy ammunition. He does gives the Chaos Spawn missile resistance. He should pretty much give all the Chaos Spawn in his army as part of his faction the same resistances he gets. Same resistance he gets, so 75 missile resistance and 25 magic resistance. This should be like the base for the Chaos Spawn in the campaign for Morgor. Furthermore, on his skill tree regarding the Chaos Spawn, you should be able to pick between two variants of the buffs for the Chaos Spawn. One should be massive pain in the ass toughness buffs for the Chaos Spawn, which makes them really tanky, on top of poison unbreakable, units you want to ignore on the battlefield and try to shoot them down, but you can't because they have 75 missile resist, so you have to go into melee against them. You have to have anti-large units that fight them in melee. On top of that, get resistances from that skill tree like ward save, physical resistance, further magic resistance, missile resistance, regeneration. Or the second side could be give them massive attack damage, and listen to this, some kind of ability which grants them reflect damage. So if they're getting hit in their radius, the enemy should just be taking lots of damage. All of a sudden, holy shit, man! This is all the legendary lord. Legendary lord that actually has some kind of flavor, so you don't just have to build Minotaurs. Minotaurs already on tier 3 without any buffs are stronger than fully buffed Chaos Spawn for Morgor. The Chaos Spawn, the only difference is they do get Unbreakable, which in campaign is completely useless. 10 more armor would be better. It's a multiplayer unit. Pretty much this whole faction is a multiplayer faction, so they don't really have a good place in the campaign. Unless you like, bleeding out of your ass. And so this could be a thing. Morgor and his Chaos Spawn should be an absolute nightmare to deal with. And for the most part, should be near immune to range. Near immune to range. And you should be dealing with them in melee. So one side of Morgor abilities could be buffing the toughness further on the Chaos Spawn. They should have a really strong life power in the battle, or a second option where they do massive damage and they reflect damage on the attackers. And you can't kill them with range, so you have to kill them in melee. This could be the flavor of Morgor. And all of a sudden, it's a fun lord to play. The AI probably gonna fuck up his skill tree, so gonna use him right. But for the player, you actually could consider using Morgor over the other two. The other two, have their thing. They don't even need much work. Of course, Beastmen could use some love regarding some more uniqueness, variety, and of course, doing siege battles, 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 fucking siege battles, 24/7 siege battles, siege battles, siege battles, siege battles, siege battles, fucking hell, siege battles. There should be a button somewhere when you're playing fucking Beastmen on the campaign screen, where if you're in the area, there should be like some kind of ability which should drag the garrison out of the city. In the open field. Horde needs something like this, so you don't have to fucking do siege battles 24/7. There should be an ability for the hordes, especially Beastmen. The Beastmen are absolute shit to fight the sieges. It makes not even sense in the lore. The few times the Beastmen actually piled up to, go crazy, like Siege Karazakarak thousands of years ago, since then they're almost wiped out. They're almost wiped out and they're basically just hiding and what? Goddamn Grimgor called me, 1 second. Grimgor is fucking annoying me, he had his rework. Come back in 10 years, Grimgor. So what was I saying? Yes, fucking siege bells. Siege bells spam all the time. Let's load into the game and talk more about the Beastmen in detail there. We currently have a Beastmen campaign going. A lot of people, would like the idea of the Horde factions to actually be bring something different to the game. They do feel like, for even 5 minutes, different to play. It used to be a nice change going to play some Chaos or Beastmen, destroy some civilization, but it grown into like some nightmare, circle of hell, type of gameplay, really. Some people, take it as a challenge, but it's become really obnoxious playstyle. It's not just hard, it's just whack-a-mole, frustrating whack-a-mole. And I guess some people like, being frustrated all the time, maybe gives them reason to drink and smoke, stuff like that. So what I was saying regarding the Horde faction, there should be a button somewhere on this circle here. Maybe you could use it once every 10 turns. Maybe you get a technology that you can use every 5 turns. So let's say you are in this area here. Let's say you have 2 hordes here. There should be this button is available off cooldown. You click this button, maybe a right. Imagine the Warhammer 1 factions have rights. or an ability of this bar. Being either Beastman, being either Norska, being Chaos, there should be a button here which forces all the units in the region into a big battle. So they could, you know, do it in so many different ways, but you know, to oversimplify, just like a button here, and your armies here basically force the enemy every like 10 or so turns to meet you in the field, and if you win, the city is empty. City is overrun. This could be, you know, a downside to this, using this button instead of just stacking the walls, where you would get much less wealth, because you know the citizens, you know, had time to prepare. You know, they just pick half of their things, half of them left, because you know they want to get slaughtered. So clicking this button here would put you in a big battle in the open field, and instead of, you know, fighting a fucking 58 siege battle in the campaign, you fight them in a field battle against their whole garrison. Whoever is in the city, you just pull them out of the city into the field, 2 versus 2, 2 versus 1, 1 versus 2. You know what I'm talking about? Field battle. Field battle for a horde faction. Make it a timer on 10 turns, maybe lower the 50% income from race, sec, post-battle loot when you do it. You know, this button could totally work. Just oversimplify it. So, other than this, you know, annoyance with the you know, non-stop siege battles, because they're not gonna meet you in the field unless they can smack you. They're not gonna meet you in the field. You're not gonna fight them in the field unless you can smack them. So nobody wins here in the field battle. So it just turns into just a siege fest for the rest of your campaign. And when you have to do raise 4 settlements and the 7 settlements, it can get quite tedious. I mean, I'm a patient man, but add to those 17 settlements bugs, maybe currently poor state of the game, you know, gate bug happening, you know, like every second siege, and all of a sudden it's a really kind of frustrating experience. This is, you know, totally battle-wise. Campaign-wise, we spent quite a bit of time here in Nordland. Raise. There was 5 infections constantly coming here. Somebody telephoned them, and you know, they were already moving in here. You know, we haven't even pressed the raise button. They already packed their shit. They were here to settle it. So this is one of the major issues of the game: resettlement by the AI. Factions used to have a Ruin Dweller, mainly the Skaven and the Undead, like Kranskrier, Ruin Dweller. Half of these trades don't even work anymore since, you know, the game got the initial release. Some of them work only half the time. This Ruin Dweller thing, you know, it needs to work. It needs to work. You know, suggestion should be, let's say Skaven Blight is a Ruin Dweller, Klanskrier. So as a Ruin Dweller, they should consider resettlement in the adjacent provinces as a high priority. While a faction that doesn't have Ruin Dweller, like let's say Hochland, should not ever consider resettling Nordland, just dropping everything they're doing to resettle Nordland. But they will consider to resettle some of the race Midenstag, Talabheim, Wolfenburg, or Mindenheim, you know, because it's adjacent to their capital. This is not fucking rocket science. This is like quality of life. Makes sense. You know, don't give a shit about the hair on my head. You know, I don't like hair on the head. You know, I already got the half ball playing the Skarsnik. But prevent this whack-a-moling. Create a system that makes sense. No Ruin Dweller only can resettle adjacent regions to the province. Ruin Dweller, they will care about the province, adjacent province, even if it's not adjacent to their region. It's not rocket science. Make it happen. This is one of the frustrations of the horde factions, Norska included. You're raising the civilization, spreading chaos, corruption, which we mention, you know, that is the most pathetic thing in the game. Chaos corruption should be the most dangerous thing in the game as it spreads. There's like no sense of accomplishment. You're just raising settlements, everything gets resettled, even before you leave the province. So this leaves you to 2 things. You just raise, and you just, you know, keep going on a war path to your objective. So raise Reichland, raise Coron, raise Outland, Hochland, Midland, Northern, Northern, and while you're doing, you know, one at a time, they just resettle everything in the meantime, and then you have to do it all over again. And this brings us back to the problem of sieges. Siege battle, siege battle, siege battle, siege battle, siege battle, siege battle. This makes it 10 times worse. Add on that the gate bugs. So it's a vicious circle. Furthermore, they could do something like this. Is like a little bit advanced, you know, a little bit rocket science, I admit. But imagine, let's say you have Northland here, and Northland has been raised, and Midland has been raised. This enclave of Laurel Forest, if it gets raised, it would instantly turn into chaotic wasteland, because it's surrounded by the chaotic ruins. When you're playing Norska, Beastmen, or the Chaos, this should be a thing, or maybe just for the Chaos, for the Archaean. Maybe it could be his ability. Maybe just Archaean has this ability. So let's say Hergig gets raised, and every adjacent region to Hergig has been raised by the Chaos as well. Hergig all of a sudden turns from temperate climate to a chaotic wasteland. Even for the legendary AI, the chaotic wasteland is a little bit crippling. With the revert chaos corruption, this could actually be a threat. Even for the player against the chaos, if you don't protect your borders, if they get surrounded by ruins, turning your regions into chaotic wasteland, you know. Even let's say you're playing Empire, the also gets turned into chaotic wasteland. No fucking big deal. Fight off the chaos, this remains a chaotic wasteland. You're just gonna have the penalties for the rest of the campaign. It's not even that a big deal of penalty. All you have pretty much a superpower level infrastructure and resources. No, not a fucking big deal. But for the player, it would mean an amazing quality of life, turning regions into chaotic wasteland, and on top of, you know, somewhat rework chaos corruption, not this current shit chaos corruption we have. It could actually give you a sense of accomplishment, sense of achievement, that you're actually doing something, you're affecting environment, not you just, you know, in a bunch of traveling nomads that are outnumbered 100 times. They can't do shit. Everybody outnumbers you with their armies already, and then their factions, you know, are that tenfold to that just in a single area of the map. The chaos corruption should not just, you know, affect the numbers. It should affect the faction, the leadership, their stats, their public order, their income. It should spawn dangerous rebellions if they're not taking care of it, and you know, ultimately turning the region into chaotic wasteland as the chaos spreads. A counter to that chaotic wasteland mechanism could be, if everything gets resettled and a region gets resettled further from that, like in Norska territory, it should become like a regular region. This could be a big thing with the Warhammer 3 and how the chaos works. So let's say chaos has been raising all these things, slowly turning everything into chaotic wasteland. You know, the chaos corruption is spreading, everything is getting, you know, going to shit. And let's say they get pushed back, they get defeated on a wave. Well, this is getting resettled. This gets resettled. All of a sudden, this tends back into a temperate climate because the Untainted has cleared it. So no longer chaotic wasteland. Holy shit, man! There's always so much thing to be done here. It's like there's just a little bit of effort into, you know, chaos, which is an important part of Warhammer universe. Chaos is basically a bunch of circus clowns going, giving you a picnic and free money. They're getting bullied. They're supposed to be bullying other people, but they're getting bullied. Poor mechanics, out there mechanics, and zero effort is like just totally forgotten. And you know, we are talking about this because, you know, Beastmen are part of the chaos. They're, you know, it says here, Beastmen, children of chaos. You know, the Beastmen are basically, they do a couple of raids, you know, destroy a couple of villages, get a little bit of numbers. They get accumulate a couple of, you know, maybe armies, units, and then the Emperor gangs up on them and just kills them. You know, that's usually how the Beastmen are in the lore. You know, they just, you know, pillage this settlement here, you know, pile up, you know, think they're, you know, all of a sudden getting, you know, confidence they can do something more, maybe even threaten Hergig. Oh, by the time they reach Hergig, all the couple of Emperor armies are waiting for them and just destroy them, and they're back, you know, in their forest for another generation. Until again, you know, they pile up and, you know, get some balls to do some shit, you know, challenge, you know, one of the Empire provinces. They, you know, never really a big deal. They need the other evil factions to work together with them, especially, you know, the Force of Chaos. Not like just like you play like now, you know, basically playing Chaos they can hide, but, you know, without getting actual Chaos to help you. Because Chaos Corruption doesn't work, doesn't do anything. So basically, this is when it comes to Chaos Corruption, the climate, the sieges. It's really a vicious circle, bunch of whack-a-moling. It's really bad for the game. This is one of the most overpriced DLCs. Chaos was the first DLC. Minimal effort, very much no effort. Badly outdated, badly dated. At least the Chaos, Voice of Chaos has a more enjoyable roster to play than the Beastmen. It's kind of funny to say this because, you know, overall the Beastmen have this Minotaur unit, which is the only reason why people even buy this DLC. They see the Minotaurs in action, they want to play with some Minotaurs. And then they enter the cancer of campaign that is Beastmen. And then they regret it, they even spend the money to buy the, you know, to even see the Minotaurs. You know, to have some fun with the Minotaurs. Minotaurs are one of the most devastating melee units in the game, but also part of one of the worst factions in the game. What we're gonna talk about next? We can talk about technologies. You know, get leadership +5 and fighting against men. You can see already notice immediately that the technology tree is very small. Tiny technology tree. What do we have here? 4, 6, 9, 11, 14, 16, 22, 27 technology, give or take. So on the left side here, you have 4 branches here that you can start with, plus leadership and fighting against men, plus the recruit ranks for Gors. 1 rank for some of the shitty units in the game. They're worse than goblins. They actually were worse than the older goblins. Goblins right now are pretty much gods compared to Ungors and Gors. You have the Beastly Stupor is actually a pretty good technology. Gives the Beastmen Lords and Heroes 10 attack and defense. This should just stay as how it is. Well, this one, you know, you couldn't understand why this one exists. Well, this one is kind of shitty. Keep in mind, you also might notice as you research the Beastmen technologies, you're actually losing research rate. So get one of these technologies, the further ones will take longer to research. This is countered by investing the favor, the resource the Beastmen have, their gold, to increase the research rate and the Chaos Corruption all characters. Chaos Corruption, once again, repeat, it's pathetic, doesn't do anything. The best case scenario the Chaos Corruption will do, if you get a crazy amount of characters, it might make like a region like Krugenheim rebel, and on a 50-50, the rebels with 12 units might sometimes win against 6 units and raise the settlement, so they save you like a 1 minute, and then the next turn somebody already resells it on the turn later. It does affect corruption, it does affect your replenishment leadership, but it's just not good enough. It's bare bones, uninspiring, and like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, if you know guys know more about the lore of the game, but the way I see it, the Chaos Corruption is the most powerful force in the Warhammer universe. Is it not? Is it not? So, the another technology here, you have income from raiding plus 50%. The raiding is boring in the game. You basically just enter an enemy region, enter the region and you raid. They see where you are, and you get a little bit more money depending on the wealth of the region and how much they have in the treasure, because you raid their treasury. You do need raiding for the quest, so sure, whatever, plus 15%. Castle gets plus 40%, so you get me done faster. Evasion chance when using a Beastmen plus 20%. I mean, if you're in deep shit, this basically tells you, you know, you might need to flee, because you're not gonna be good enough to, you know, defeat what you're facing. So you can use a Beast Pet, you know, to flee. It's basically teleports to the other side. Nearby armies can intercept you, similar to the Underway. Plus 10 leadership for the Lords and Bandit Heroes. Very boring technology. And you do lose 5% reach for that. Paid War reduces all recruitment costs by minus 33%. It's decent, but if you're losing units, it's usually the AI strategy, you know, to have lots of recruitment cost reduction, because they're losing units all the time to the player, other factions. If you're losing units, you must be doing something wrong. You might be using wrong units, because you know we don't want to be losing units. So losing units is downtime, using units is bad. Even if this sounds good, it's actually not good, it's just bad. You have to also pay 5,000 to unlock it. Stuff like this could always be better in just upkeep reduction. I mean, we could suggest what this technology could be, but this technology tree, same as the old green skin technology tree, just put into recycle bin. Make a general campaign effects for the Beastmen. Put sides, maybe Slanesh, Korn, Zinch, Nurgle, and a general side of the tree. 5 different areas of the tree, about 4 technologies, give or take. A lot of uninspiring, boring technologies. This one is amazing because the miners are amazing. 10% speed for all units, always good. So they have like 4 good technologies, and everything else is like, everything you get is 4 technologies. If you go to the notifications and uncheck this, nothing will be lost. You just forget this button exists after you get those 4 technologies. That's how bad their technology are. Some of the worst in the game, and boring as well. Most of it is just boring. Bonuses which are not even gonna be beneficial or they're fun to use. When you're playing turn-based games, just for more turn games, it should be exciting. Ooh, wow! I unlocked a new technology. It's what this gives me. What can I do better now with this? What the fuck will I do with +1 to Gors and Ungos? That mean buff with Bestigors. What the fuck am I gonna do with this shit? Centigors. 1 for Bestigors. Look at this. 24 turns later. Bunch of boring shit here. Where is that fun Empire technology tree or a massive dwarf technology tree? Doesn't even buff all the units. Where are the buffs for the Harpies? Where are the buffs for the Chaos Spawn? Where are the buffs for the Giants? Forgotten. So this whole technology tree is probably gonna get reworked. It's boring. Couple of good technologies and everything else is shit out of nearly 30 technologies. That's it for technologies. Objectives, we did talk about how the 3 beast factions should be separated, but ultimately they're Beastmen, men. They want to destroy the world of man civilization, with the exception of Morgul. He also wants he's tainting shit, and the wood elves don't like when the shit gets tainted their forests. So make Morgul kind of unique, that he has objected to certain wood elves. Don't give this same boring siege fest. Just destroy fortress elements, all empire every single time. This issue is also with the Warriors of Chaos. Khazrak, Malagor, Morgul. Rework Chaos Corruption, rework Technology Tree. Actually fun stuff for Morgul. We could have Morgul. Morgul kind of makes sense for Estalia because of the Wood Elves. We could have Khazrak start on another continent. We could have Malagor start in the Southlands. This is not updated. Here, and here. What about the rest of the world? Where about the rest of the world in the conditions? I mean, conditions are pretty bad for the game for most factions. Should make more sense, more related to factions, separate factions, multi-tier domination victory. Same as the Chaos. They could be so much more. Just you need to wait like every time 7-8 months to get something the modder does in his basement in a week, which also looks much better than what the developers do most of the time. We know that all the bugs the mods bring, the developers will bring tenfold. I mean, look at the current state of the game. Let's talk about their buildings. Holy shit, what the fuck is this? Basic military recruitment 4 buildings, advanced military recruitment 3 buildings, and support 2 buildings. Basic military recruitment, basically all of this could be in pretty much 2 buildings. Fuck it, all of this could be in a 1 building. But let's say, for the sake of, optimize, it could be in 2 buildings. You have your infantry, you have your Ungors, Gors, Bestigors, decent unit progression. Gors are decent enough to, you know, keep spamming because they take 1 turn to recruit. Bestigor is actually a solid unit. They're fast. The Beastmen have this thing called the Primal Fury. Gives units melee attack, charge bonus, speed, immune psychology. It's kind of like the Beastman Frenzy. It works also with the Frenzy if you have Frenzy. Bestigor is an armored, fast, armor-piercing unit with a strong charge bonus. Just think of them like a Forsaken if they were actually good. But they also can act like chosen great weapons. This is actually a pretty good unit. Pretty good unit. There are various ways to buff them. They are even better with Kazrak. They can get 42 charge bonus. Pretty damn good. But they're unlocked on tier 4. You know, could be fine beating on tier 4. This building is, you know, nothing really wrong with this building. Their main building pretty much just gives you growth, chaos corruption, and horde capacity. You know, just boring stuff. I feel like it's missing 2 lines of text. The building of creatures, where you have the Warhounds, Harpies, and the Chaos Spawn. Chaos Spawn being a tier 4 unit. Oh boy. Oh no. Do they even play this game? Do they even know what this unit's purpose is? What this unit even does? What the fuck is this unit tier 4? Unarmored, squishy, really weak to range, unbreakable unit. Which is basically, you know those ugly things that the vampire pirates have, Vampire Coast has, what they call the hulking abominations. This is basically, you know, hulking abomination. This is basically a hulking abomination at tier 4. The only thing that, you know, saves this unit, that actually his existence is justified, unbreakable in multiplayer. And it's on a tier 4. When you have Minotaurs, the absolute killers, butchers, one of the most devastating units in the game, on a tier 3. You even have upkeep reductions here, minus 5%, minus 10%. Look at this, minus 5% for the Chaos Warhounds, minus 10% for Chaos Warhounds. What about the Harpies? What about the Chaos Spawn? This building should just be removed. And the Chaos Spawn, this one should be probably put here. And Chaos Spawn on tier 3. Or to just be 2 tiers of it. Or at least, for the very least, this building just moved to tier 3 with some bonuses to Harpies and the Chaos Spawn, you know, boring minus upkeep reduction style. The problem is that the Mordor cannot use Minotaurs. Mordor can use Minotaurs. There's this building minus 50% upkeep cost. There is this skill here minus 50% upkeep cost. Raise a couple of cities. Get a bank you can't spend. What if? How the fuck you run out of money with Beastmen? Just you go to the other faction, give them money. How much money you have? Help Clan Scryer. Even with 3% upkeep, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I guarantee you, you can use Minotaurs or Morgor, and it'll perform better than the full bar Chaos Spawn he has. And it's just gonna take a little bit longer to get a second army going as you're building the bank for the first time. This bank can easily go over 100k. Minimal effort. Oh my god. Have you seen that shit? This building doesn't have any downside anymore. Just 3% less upkeep. You're just gonna ping a little more. It's normal. It's normal to go negative. Even for the standard faction, look at it like this. If you're considering to get more armies, if you're considering how your treasury will survive, you just do it like this. The formula is negative 4,000 for every 50k you have. You have 50,000 in your treasury, you can go 4k negative, no problem. That's standard. You have 100k, 8,000. That's a standard. There is no fucking way in the next 10-12 turns that you're not gonna make another 100k with 2 armies running around the map, raising settlements, getting better loot with a favor. Even with a dwarf faction, you're gonna make 100k in the next 10 turns. So negative is fine. Don't go with that mentality. You have a negative income, that something is wrong. That's a normal part of the game. For any factions, you just want to put more in military, put more military. 50k in treasury, minus 4. 100, minus 8. 150, minus 12k. Part of the game. No part of the game. For Beastmen the Chaos, this is just how it is. Even more natural than for the regular factions. 30% more up in Miners doesn't really matter. SL player. Then, on the basic military recruitment, brace yourself. Brace yourself. The multi-gores, multiplayer gores, Sandy Gores, multiplayer cavalry, a tier 3 unit, apparently. No purpose in the campaign whatsoever, except, god damn it, look at that boring Elich fucker playing beasts in the game with the Harpies and the Chaos Spawn and the Minotaurs and staking this shit, staking that shit. Never plays the Sandy Gores, that old boring fuck is no fun. Well, there's a reason I don't fucking recruit this unit or I build this building. I don't support multiplayer. I hope it dies, cross my heart. Everybody go play some proper esports games. Don't waste the years of their life, on this game, multiplayer. And we actually get some Centigores which could actually do something in campaign. Like maybe tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3. And some actual proper stats, not every single update, they're getting balanced because, somebody, used them well in multiplayer. Just ignore this building. It could be part of this building. This building here, this is in the same shit area as the pigs of the orcs. First problem being tier 3 and tier 4. Should be tier 2 and tier 3. Could be a part of this building so you can actually use these units. You have to build extra buildings. Do they even realize how hard it is to stake growth and consider these shit buildings over the usual, Minotaurs, Wizard, weapons, upkeep? Might start with this because you're gonna go some Bestigors until you can afford, to switch. It's highly unrealistic to even consider creatures, Centigores, or Razgors, because everything else is better. It's gonna give you more satisfaction, better results, and just better units. Building this building here, this building will take more population to build, and building this building here, you just don't have the population, don't have the growth to build shit like this. That's why it's important they are, more optimized building setups. These units are strictly multiplayer, they don't exist in campaign, only for the AI. Only if you sometimes, you wake up one day, fucking hell, I've been playing this game for 4 years, and only unit I ever use with the Beastmen after turn 20 are the Minotaurs. God damn, I wanna try those Centigores. I wanna try those Razgors, and then he, realize, man, I've been playing this campaign for 80, 90 turns. I've done no progress. Can't do shit. These units can't kill shit. They can't get experience. We can't win battles anymore. And now we have to wait another 20 turns to build Minotaur buildings so we can actually start playing this campaign. Start making some progress. It's just this basic military recruitment. The only thing that works here is the clone ones. This building is the only thing that makes sense. Shit, shit, shit. This Harpy unit can be buffed enough thanks to the weapons. Thanks to a unique skill the Beastmen get, the Slug Skin, 20% more event strength. They have good battle skills. Harpies work. You know why the Harpies work? Siege battle, siege battle, siege battle, siege battle, siege battle, siege battle. Siege battle, siege battle, siege battle, siege battle. Fucking siege battles 90% of the time. Flying units are strong on the walls. They're even better than the artillery. Fucking siege battles makes the existence of Harpies justified. Problem with the fucking siege battles? What the fuck am I gonna do with cavalry in siege battles and some kind of pseudo cavalry here that can't even do shit? Unless it's a multiplayer battle. What the fuck am I gonna do with these pigs here? I only have a bunch of things going through the door. Can they climb walls? They can't climb walls. What the fuck am I gonna do with this unit in my siege battle campaign? I mean, best Beastman campaign, Why the hell am I gonna recruit these units in my Beastman campaign? Pointless. Pointless, useless. This brings us back to Make a button here for the Horde factions with a 10-turn cooldown. You're in Aldorf, click that button, force all the garrison and the army in the city to face you in the field. Initiate like a quest battle. Get less money because, you know, you initiate this button, what you get fighting them on the walls, but you get a field battle. All of a sudden, you know, maybe I want to face you in the battlefield that does some shit. You know, maybe I want some pigs, some chariots. Because, you know, what the fuck am I gonna do with these units in a siege battle, siege battle, siege battle? 24/7 fucking siege battles. Useless. So, why build this building? Why build these units? Because all you're doing is siege battles. Harpies are flying, they're good on the walls. You can always fit a Chaos Warhounds 1 or 2 in the army. This is a pretty good unit. Bestigors can climb wall. It's good to combine Bestigors together with Minotaurs for the sieges, because, you know, send the Bestigors on the walls, send the Minotaur to the gate, you know, just delete them all. This is deadly units. So that makes sense. Minotaurs, we nothing really don't really have to say anything about. This is one of the most devastating melee units in the game. Just kill shit. They're beautiful to look at. Their charge animations are upworthy. They can do massive damage. Some of the highest weapon strength inside a single unit in the game, because they have a strategy of hero stacking for the traits to give them even further damage. Just massive satisfaction. Huge gotcha bass. Huge. Like, no we have to tell anymore. You have a Gorbul, which is a pretty good hero. We have one of the Gorbuls here. Can't really compare them that much to the, you know, heroes of nowadays. You know, you should definitely have the spot of the strongest hero in the game together with the Banshee. But nowadays, you know, probably top 5 material. Just the sheer amount of stats, carnage, and the various bonuses still makes it one of the best heroes in the game. One of the reasons, you know, that you actually, you know, don't, you know, cry at night that you actually bought this DLC and you played the Beastmen. Gorbul is just beautiful. You know, this should be like, you know, standard. Just print this shit for the, you know, most of the heroes' skill trees in the game. Everybody expected this shit to be, you know, just copy pasta, you know, Black Orc hero. But, you know, how disappointed did we get in the end? We got something else. At least with the initial version. Like, Gorbuls are fun, Gorbuls are strong. One of the reasons, you know, to live. Get with Minotaurs. The Arcane building unlocks the Bray Shamans. You might notice here how the tier 3 version of building just gives you recruitment. It doesn't give you capacity. You get capacity on tier 5. This is another thing that needs to change. This should be only giving capacity, and this should give you +2. You don't get access to enough heroes. You can't really put them heroes in the armies. They're fun. They're both strong army heroes. You need some scouting on the map, otherwise you're just gonna get murdered. You know, it's a Horde faction. One wrong move, end of the campaign. One wrong move on legendary, you know, some of your hair, you know, is gone. You know, you're gonna think twice if you're gonna be playing the Beastmen again on legendary. Not much can be said about the Bray Shamans. You know, they have various lores. You know, just don't use that lore. That's a story for another time. This is one of those unique traits. Enemy leadership -5. Works beautifully with Malagor. We talked about this. Malagor has -8 and then another -9. There's a trait for the Executioner. It's just a beautiful strategy, lots of fun. Even if it will work in your head in some battles. You know, it's just, you know, it's the reason for this guy to be a Legendary Lord. Mortal Legendary Lord, you can't even pick both of his skills, you have to pick one. And that's it. This guy was, you know, free, you know, but, you know, apparently we can't complain if something is free, fuck them, you know. You know, this is a Legendary Lord, this is a legendary joke. Especially after he got butchered by the multiplayer. Bray Shamans, you know, could get some love regarding their skills. They're pretty vanilla. You know, almost Orc Shaman. Almost Orc Shaman. I guess their Bray Shamans a little bit better. You know, they get a chariot, which, you know, with a gear, you know, they could harass you into crossmen, you know, handgunners. They get +15 attack here, so, you know, the chariot is more justified, but, you know, you get plenty of items, you know, stacking lords with the Beastmen, you know, you get fine extra items. Now I feel like it should have a little bit more than what it has. It is a little bit bare bones. Not as bad as Orc Shaman, which is, you know, a pretty bad example, but almost. The unique lore of the Beastmen have, the Lord Wild, is pretty good. You get a Wild Hide, good damage, good disruption, armor piercing damage, regular against halberdiers, armor piercing against greatswords, good use of power, triggers Bestial Surge every time you cast a spell, which gives you charge bonus, which is, you know, not the most important thing of this skill, but it restores vigor every time you cast a spell, which can be used as fast as once every 10 seconds. So basically, your army will stay fresh, more fresh longer than the enemy army, which gives you a huge advantage. You get the Devolve, which is a leadership hit, and damage, which is then further leadership hit. Malagor has this lore. It goes well with all those sticky negative leadership effects. It's not as powerful as it used to be, but you know, slightly bit overpriced. But there are ways to get power with the Beastmen, so justified. It's a good spell. Wouldn't say it's strong. It's good enough. Good enough. Almost as good as, you know, Flock of Doom. Almost as good as Flock of Doom. Flock of Doom can get cheaper. Ray Scream, some damage, some disruption. This lore, it almost feel like the base has been taken from the you know, the lore of the big wow from the Greenskins. Just a little bit breadth, a little bit formation disruptions. It could be do some damage if you overcast it. For the overcast, it's actually not bad. Brave Shamans, so will get might get extra points to even make it cheaper. Trader Keen, not really worth considering casting the this power here. Just use your Lord, your Khazarg, your Gorbul, your Morgor to try to do single target damage to the characters, and use the Wolf instead, so it can be totally skipped. Now it can have some potential with the speed, you know, but unless you want speed and damage at the same time, it's really not worth casting at this cost. Mantle of Gorok, you know, the only good thing is if you want to get the extra, you know, big dick numbers on the Minotaurs. Not a very, you know, exciting spell to cast over, you know, some Wildtide damage potential, or the Wolf, or even the Brave Scream. Summoning a Sigurd, I mean, these multi abilities are always, you know, nice, you know, when you're in a bad situation. You know, this lore, you know, it's basically based around the Bestial Surge and Wildtide activation, and occasional Devolve and the Brave Scream. So this is basically solid wizard hero just because the traits are good. And you start as a Malagor, you get extra 2 of them. It takes 4 of these just to eliminate the penalty, the bonus the AI gets on Legendary and Technology on the Empire. So you would need to lower the leadership minus 20, so they have the basic Empire leadership. But if you play with Malagor, you would just need 2 of them plus the Malagor with the Executioner to already put them in a -6, I think. But they have reputation as experience as well, which gives them up to 9 leadership, technology as well, another 5 leadership. So definitely need more of them. Usually you have 2 Brave Shaman in every war herd. 1 Lord Wild and like 1 Shadows. Where were we with here? We had the building for the Giants. Like, what the fuck, man? Tier 5? Didn't they just patch the game recently? Ah, yeah, they forgot the Beastmen again. Okay, we have the weapons building here, which is an amazing building, a little bit overpriced, but it's the beauty of it, you get in tier 2. You get it on tier 2, plus 5 armor and plus 5 attack for all units. And then plus 10 armor, plus 10 melee attack for all units. Even this huge price, you know, you can't complain because this is massive. Only puts your best figures with a 10 more attack with a high armor piercing units. Made them only look better than the base Black Orcs, at least in the past. Makes the Minotaurs ridiculous. Harpies viable. Even Heroes and the Lords are stronger. This is just one amazing building. The cost is justified. You know, being Beastmen, you know, the shitty infrastructure like the Greenskins. You know, I think they should excel at cheap buildings. But, you know, I guess the devs don't think it the same way. You have this building that used to have a downside for the growth, but now you basically just build it, and that's how you afford more hordes. Building Beastmen economy works in two ways. You do battles, you get battle loot, you raise, you get money. And this money is used with a huge treasury to go into negative, just get more hordes. Usually people play with just legendary lords, but sometimes you go 4 or 5 armies. You know, just takes a lot of time. If you're playing a long game, you might even get 7 hordes. There's a limit how many hordes you can get because the growth gets kept at the cost of the new lord. You can get unlimited amount, and then you have to build up every single horde to the point where this gets unlocked. So this is like, you know, you think there's no downside to this building, but you have to get there. Until you get there, the horde is vulnerable. The whole horde can be found out, have to be killed. You have to basically just stack the hordes together, protect them until, you know, they get a bunch of minotaurs or quality units. So there's a downside to this building. You know, the hordes are vulnerable until you get an army. You can't really get an army until you get lower upkeeps by at least 25% or 50% in the, you know, future hordes. So Beastmen economy works by lowering upkeep through ruination building, through the Blazed by Evil. That's 65% already less upkeep. This is good because, you know, you need growth here. You have then lightning strike for 1 point. And you get more hordes, they do more battles, they do more battles so that, you know, in the same turn, one horde is raising area here, and you even get more favor, get more hordes, you know, get a picture. And, you know, slowly the negative will increase, but like we mentioned, every 50k you can go for 4k negative. The buildings are super bare bones. These make looks greenskins like the fucking Roman architects. Like, half of these buildings can be cut and like just you know, put a hand over these 5 buildings here and it's like, okay, so remove this, and remove that, and then you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buildings for the Beastmen, plus the core building, 7 buildings, and they can be at 10. What the hell, man? They need more buildings and do various things. So from top of my mind, what could I say the Beastmen need? They could get a building which debuff the enemy in a certain way in the area, like maybe lower their defense, which could also be applied to the Chaos Corruption, could be also part of Chaos Corruption. This building could give Chaos Corruption, could be a unique building for additional building for growth, Chaos Corruption, replenishment, give more ranks to the units, give campaign, you know how the Vampire Coast have it. Could be a building which I think they should have, a building that increase movement range. Like this Centicore building could like be 5% more movement range, 10% more movement range, 50% more movement range. You know, they're definitely, you know, things they could add that, you know, could give you more variety in the horde, things you the Beastmen need desperately, like the movement range, for example. There's a variety of things that can be added, but, you know, giving these suggestions here, they just can, you know, just copy some of the stuff from the SFO, I guess, and call it a day. So this is it for the buildings. Quite disappointing, pretty basic. Half of the buildings can be just deleted from the game, you wouldn't even notice. Regarding, we did talk about the units, but I mean, what is there to say? A really disappointing variety of units. Some units are over the top, while some are super underwhelming. But this is the issue of balancing between a single player and a multiplayer, and how the bonuses affect these units. So this is solid as it is. You know, Ungor Raiders is your best early game unit, and by early game I mean, you know, the first 70 turns. It is basically Night Goblins, range meta Brock back. The range units are outperforming this game. You know, you don't have to, you know, go against the enemy melee defense, you just basically shoot them. The enemy leadership bonus is usually, you know, what keeps them on the field so they can get shot more. So Ungor Raiders is a solid early game unit, it will carry your early game. The rest of the Ungors are pretty shitty, they're basically just cannon fodder, so your Ungor Raiders can do all the killing. Once you get into Gors, and once you get some boss for them, the Gors actually can do killing, especially the Gore herds. Pretty nice expendable unit, just, you know, recruit a bit faster than the Bestigors, just send them in. They're basically just unarmored Bestigors, they don't have armor piercing. Bestigors, we said, is a real solid unit. There's nothing has to be. They don't do anything about Bestigors, just a solid unit. The Chaos Warhounds, they have a place in the armies. You can always fit one or two in the armies. Very fast, effective units at killing enemy crossmen, range, artillery. Hide them, send them in. They are very fast, poison, chasing. Just lovely to see them just kill everything as the enemy tries to flee. Usually, after the unit's been weakened, routed, you send in the dogs to, you know, kill them. Like, you know, you've done quite a bit of damage with Ungors. Like I said, 3 Ungors focusing into Crossmen. A Crossman starts routing. You start focusing another unit. Then you send in the Hounds to finish off their Crossmen so they don't come back, start shooting the Ungors because they are, you know, out of range now. So a little bit micro combo. You know, this is a pretty solid unit. Same, you know, how they would do them sometimes. I mean, the Beastmen go well in the beginning because of the Raiders, you know. Just a nice chasing unit. Keeps the enemy, you know, not be able to recover much of this routing. Harpies, it's a below average unit, but in a siege battle, it's, you know, this Beastman campaign is basically a campaign of siege battles. Flying units are good. They get solid buffs. Bell skills, Totem of Horns, Slug Skin. Most welcome in the army because constant siege fests. If there were no siege fests, Harpies would be basically just weaker Chaos Warhounds. Just weaker Chaos Warhounds because the Harpies have high melee defense but low melee attack, which can be changed, you know, with various effects you unlock, like the Totem of Horns, Bell skills experience. But the dogs have poison. Dogs have real bad leadership. The weakness of the Chaos Warhounds is not really their weakness against armor. This is just nonsense. I just removed this. The main weakness of the Warhounds is the leadership. If you can click it here, you can see what I'm talking about. They have 38 leadership, and this is not an undead unit. Keep it in mind. It's not an undead unit. They will get routed. A very bad leadership, 38. And if you're playing on the legendary, this is another -4. So they have 34 leadership. That is the main weakness of the Warhounds. But as they get leadership, as the lords get better, they lose that leadership weakness. That's why the Harpies are better to spam, especially, you know, early on. So it's better to get like 4, 5, 6 units of Harpies than 4, 5, 6 units of the Chaos Warhounds. Like I said, Chaos Warhounds 1, 2, just to send them in once the enemy starts fleeing, or, you know, hide them and then go after the enemy artillery. You'll definitely find value in the battlefield for these units. Or you can just have an extra 2 Minotaurs and forget if Chaos Warhounds even exist. Sendigors, you know, same like, you know, Empire Knights, you know, it's a multiplayer unit. You can totally ignore this building even existing. Their stats are decent, but the issue is, you know, they're relying too much on speed, surprise, punishing, you know, it's a multiplayer unit. It's like standard fast scaler unit that punishes enemy mistakes. And how can you punish AI mistakes when they play always the same and they rely on superior stats which the Sendigors cannot face? So this is a big issue. Just forget if Sendigors even exist, especially on this tier and on this building. Forget they exist. There are sieges as well. They mentioned this game is being, this campaign is being just a siege fest 24/7. Same for the Razgors. They should be much lower tier siege fests. The chariots actually pretty good, but are you gonna build this building or are you gonna build this building? Come on, come on, come on. Okay, Minotaurs, one of the best units in the game. Cygors, it's one of those units where you know, like this is what every unit in the campaign should be. It should be viable, but it doesn't mean you have to use it. So it's a strong unit, but there are other units. So you could go with a strategy where you're relying on Cygor shooting. It's a specialist artillery, or you go with a strategy where you just rush the enemy. So you can just react with Cygors, or you can just act with shock tactics, Mass Bestigors, Minotaurs. But sieges. You have Bestigors, Minotaurs, Cygors. So you could tank the towers with characters, Cygors shoot the towers, and then just shoot with the Cygors. You know, you can always find a couple of spots for the Cygors in the army, but the problem is, well, there's actually no problem. There's no problem because the Minotaurs and Cygors go together. They're not a separate, you know, like artillery unit, so there's actually no problem there. So if you go Minotaurs, you can consider the Cygors, you know, have some range stuff. You could, you know, use Cygors to like shoot the units that are gonna be outrunning the Minotaurs. It's just a solid unit, but you know, you can use it or you cannot. You don't have to use it. It's, you know, a good option. This, yeah, just ignore that. Okay, so this is very much for the units. We talked about the lords. The Beastmen standard lord, just ignore. Really ignore. It's pretty sad. It's like basically like let's say Kazrak is walking down the road and he gets hit by a bus, and then he just flies like 50 feet, couple of broken bones, but you know, and then he lands on train track, and then he gets hit by a train, and then, you know, the train just shatters what remains of him, and you know, that's basically Beastman Lord. So basically just more numbers, more Minotaurs, more Cygors, more Harpies, more Bestigors. Yeah, totally can skip. You just play this the Legend Lords, but if you really want numbers, you're gonna have to recruit those because there's nothing else. What else do we have here? Did we miss something to talk about? The Dark Moon. Powerful effect. Fucking handicaps, they should say, not powerful effect. They really need to redesign this and just give positive things. Remove all the negative and make positive even more positive. And then you can call it, you know, a powerful effect. I don't think we have to say much more about the Dark Moon. The Brayherds, oh god, oh yeah, the Brayherds. So, the vase, I mean, the Bray... You see, the copy pasta, you get 17 plus units in the army, you get Bestial Rage, Fightiness up, and then you spawn an AI army that totally ruins all Beastman strategy. You have no longer initiative, you don't have elements to prize, they can even reveal your hiding armies, they just fuck up everything, you know, Beastmen, you know, excel at. And, you know, on top of that, when they die, which they usually die within a couple of turns, they fuck up your ability rating. So, just a mechanic we should just totally... We're talking about the vase, you know, so Gringo gets triggered, you know, mentioning vase here, over here. So, basically just a really bad mechanic, and the workaround is you basically just transfer units between the armies and you can disband them and you cancel the Bestial Rage so they never trigger. Trust me on this. You don't want these factions Brayherd spawning. Cripples the faction and adds nothing to you. You don't get any benefits. Of course, how can they change the Brayherds? Well, you can see there's a bar laking at the top. Oh, let's make a bar again, right? There could be a bar for Kazak's faction. There could be a bar for Malagar's faction. Don't make everybody have a fucking bar. They could just keep what it has, the same. Basically an army spawns, but it's more like a Vermintide, where it is part of your faction. You get a lord with it, and has like a limit, like 10 turns. They don't really cost any upkeep for 10 turns, and after 10 turns they cost upkeep. All of a sudden, you know, Beastman numbers, Beastman Brayherds, you know, work. You hit the cup, get a Brayherd next to you. It's like basically you recruit an instant army. We can start moving immediately. Strong. Would be useful for 10 turns. After 10 turns, you can use them, just band them. Or they could just put a bar. Or could they put a bar and put that as well at the same time? This is what it is right now is unacceptable. It's just a penalty, really. Imagine one of your faction strengths is actually detrimental to your faction. That's what State Beastmen are right now. Do we have anything else to talk about around Beastmen? It's a very minimalistic faction. Very minimalist. I don't think we have anything else to talk about. Talk about technologies, mechanics, and of course, you know, mechanics could be various between the factions. Chaos Corruption should be a mechanic tied deeply into the Norska Beastmen and the Warriors of Chaos. But, you know, that's like 2027. We talked about everything, I think. Talking about everything. This is just a overpriced, bare-bone faction that's not been really properly patched for 4 years. Just nothing we can really expect that can be done about it anytime soon. Everybody expects the Chaos, Force of Chaos will be reworked with Warhammer 3. Because, goddamn man, the Chaos has been so pathetic for years now. Even the peasants, the keyboard warriors all around the world is starting to make fun of Chaos. It's been going on for a while. While, you know, playing Beastmen right now is almost like you wanna try to hurt yourself. I mean, emotional pain is almost as bad as physical pain, right, guys? Don't kill yourself. I guess this is it for this Jibber State of the Beastmen. Do not fucking buy this DLC unless they're giving it for free, or it costs you like $2 or $1. Even, you know, don't get tempted by the Miners. Don't you do it. There's a sales thing going on, but don't you fucking do it. Wait, if you buy the DLC here, they might think nothing is wrong with the Beastmen. Don't do it. Don't buy the Beastmen DLC. Don't do this to yourself. We had this on the release, you know, and on the release, you know, basically they were greenskins 2.0, you know, for 5 minutes. It used to be even fun for a bit, but everything evolved around them and they just stayed in the shitter. This is gonna be it for today, boys, and I will see you tomorrow with Gwent all day, new expansion, Master Mirror. We also have some forum secret hunting. We did complete the game, but I still want to find the remaining secrets. That's probably gonna be just chill nightly streams when I feel like it. This campaign will continue. We are playing this campaign for 150 turns currently. So the turns go fast with Horde, so more to come. I'm trying to wait for the requested campaigns, which are Grimgor and Gorst, until the patch, but they might surprise with the patch next week, or we might need to wait another 2 months. Hard to say. In the meantime, you know, I get the itch not playing Warhammer 2 for over a week, and you know, I can't just, you know, turn into a variety stream here. Just, you know, it's bad for me and bad for my stream as well, because I can't force myself to play other games really. Might be Battle Brothers be released soon, so Battle Brothers could be a good game to kill a couple of weeks until they actually patch the game. Don't really want to start playing these campaigns, because I really want to play a Grim campaign, and I really want to fucking enjoy it for once, you know. I want to fucking enjoy playing Gringor for once. You know, if I get disappointed playing Gringor of the last time, it's like I don't know what I would do. I might need to buy a new keyboard. Yep. You guys.